Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm trying a new recording setup today. How does it look? I feel like it sounds pretty good. It looks pretty good. What do you guys think? I'm pumped for it. It's actually just using my phone, and I was able to connect this microphone to my phone. And it just so happened that, I was trying to record on my computer, but it wasn't working. It was, don't even get me started. It was so frustrating. But it wasn't working, so I was like, screw it. I'm going to try my phone. Here we are. And I'm actually pleasantly surprised. Let me just, there we go. That's good. I'm actually very pleasantly surprised with how it looks, and I'm excited. So anyways, if you've watched the last couple of videos, you know we're on a financial planning checklist series here. And in the first video, I talked about what you need to be reconsidering, reevaluating about your entire financial plan when you have a baby. After you have a baby, it changes everything about your life, but also about your finances and your financial plan. Okay, so it's important to understand, what do we need to change now that baby is here? Second video, most recent video, I talked about, now that we're married, you got a ring on it. You got a ring on it now. Okay, now that you're married, what should you be doing? What should you be talking about? What conversations should you be having? Actions should you be taking? And hopefully you guys enjoyed those couple. If you haven't watched those, go watch them. Go check them out, especially if you're in one of those life events right now. Exciting stuff. But today, we're going to be talking about prior to marriage. Prior to marriage, what are some money conversations that we should have? Money conversations you should have, okay? When you're thinking about, am I going to spend the rest of my life with this person? We should probably talk about money, okay? Regardless of whether or not financial considerations are, a deal breaker for you, you should probably have these conversations just so you know what you're getting into, okay? So you are not blindsided by something that you're like, oh my gosh, like I don't know if I can get through that. You should know going into it, and the person that you are thinking about marrying should also know these things about you. All right, so here are the checklist items that you should be talking about, thinking about, and actions that you can be taking prior to marriage to decide if this is the one. All right, so I've got my checklist here. I'm not going to be sharing it on the screen. There's no Loom video on this one, but you can download the checklist in the description, and so you can follow along as I go through this if you'd like, or if you just want to look at the PDF, great, awesome. But I'm going to be going through it and talking about it here. So first and foremost, who you marry is arguably the most important financial decision you'll ever make. You probably didn't think about that. But it is one of the most important financial decisions you'll ever make, if only for one reason, because if you get divorced, you lose half. But anyways, what should we be talking about prior to I do? First, talk about your income. How much do you make? How much do you make on a monthly basis? How much do you make on an annual basis? What does your income look like? Talk about that between the two of you. And just be honest. Like, you guys are going to bring two financial situations together as one if you do get married, so just be honest with where you are. And I'll be honest with you, like, these financial conversations, I still work on them. I have these conversations with clients all the time, with people all the time. But my own finances, I'm still working on my communication with my wife in this. And these are some of the things like, oh man, we should have talked about these beforehand, and I probably should have known. But that's why I'm sharing them with you guys, all right? So I'm also, sharing from my life experience and what I wish I would have done better, but I'm also sharing from my financial experience and my conversations I've had with clients and what I think would set you up well for marriage, if you decide to go through it with this person. All right, so sharing your income. Second, discuss your current monthly and annual expenses. Monthly and annual expenses. How much do you make? How much do you spend? Where do you spend it? Why do you spend it there? Talk about your expenses. Talk about your income. Simple. Next, what assets do you currently own? Okay, what assets do you currently own? That could be cash, investments, real estate, a business, anything that is worth money or is money. What do you own? Go through all the assets. What do you own? Okay, talk about that with each other, and then any questions that come up, be transparent and be honest, and share where you are. Like, this is the person that you're thinking about spending the rest of your life with. If you're hesitant to share things, you know, I'm not saying it's a no, but we should be sharing them. Okay, so anyways, next, what debts do you currently owe and why? All right, so we talked about assets. Now let's talk about debts. Credit card debt, student loan, mortgage, car loan, business loan, whatever it may be. Talk about the debts. Talk about the debts that you owe. All right, so you've got income, expenses, assets, debts. You've got a kind of a clear picture of where this person is on an ongoing basis and current snapshot in time of what they own and what they owe. And this can spark other conversations. If it's like, I got a lot of credit card debt, well, why? Why do you have a lot of credit card debt? Or is that how we're going to operate in marriage? Like, let's talk about it. And, I don't want someone with a lot of credit card debt or whatever. Like, I'm not saying that's the case for you, but, now you'll know what you're getting into, for one, and you can have these conversations so you know what to expect and you guys can work together if you do decide to get married. Next, do you tithe to your local church? Now, I add this one in because I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, and I believe that if you are a Christian, you should also be concerned about this. For me, I did not tithe when I got engaged to my wife, and she did not either. Again, we didn't have these conversations, all of these conversations, I'll say, but now that I know what I know, like, I would recommend this to someone, especially if you're a believer, to have these conversations. And I think this is important. If you're a believer and you don't tithe, well, I'll have some other videos that you can watch that may convince you of that. But first and foremost, I want to just also say, it's okay. We're not going to be perfect, but we're working our way there. And, I've been up and down with tithing and giving as well throughout, my journey of learning about this stuff. But I think it's important to ask, do you give to your local church? Do you give generously, above your tithe to people? Like, do you give to charities? Do you give to people in need? What does your giving look like? If we're going to talk about spending and income, we should talk about giving. All right, so tithing and giving. Next, discuss your credit history. What is your credit score and why? Obviously, if you have a ton of debt and, that you talked about that already, it may play hand in hand with this credit history if they don't have a good credit score. Okay, but this will give you a look into how responsible they are with their finances, how well, do they honor the commitments and the payments that they have signed up for, and how have they done that? If they've made mistakes, that's fine, but at least you guys can get to know each other and understand, and you'll probably, learn about each other in a way that you haven't even yet, possibly. Okay, so just talk about that. What's your credit score? What's your credit history look like? And why is it there? Have you done a great job? Have you not? Whatever. That's okay. Like, these things can be improved. These I don't think that these things should necessarily be deal breakers, but you can decide that for yourself. So discuss your credit history. Current financial goals. What are you working towards? Do you have financial goals? You may not. It's okay. Whatever you got, whatever you're working towards. But at least these are the goals that the person I may spend the rest of my life with is currently working towards. Are those goals that I want to work towards? Are they not? Do I disagree with those goals? Whatever it may be, at least you know where they're headed. Or that they don't have any financial goals currently. And, honestly, like, that may be okay for where they are in life. Who knows? But, at least you get to know where they are, and you can have a conversation around what you want your shared financial goals to be if you guys were to get married, even if you come into it with nothing. So, current financial goals, experiences or memories with money. An example, how did your parents manage money? I often find that there are just like a few moments that, from our childhood that kind of shape our feelings and perspectives and beliefs around money, and also just how our parents, what they said about it, but also how they did it themselves. We absorb, what they did and how they operated, how they communicated, what things that they did with their money. So if we want to really understand where we come from, we should probably understand the stories and experiences that shaped us. And usually that's related to parents. It may not be, but that's just a good example. So, you never know what stories, experiences, memories may come up. And, some people may be very stingy with their money because of what they experienced. Some people may be, have a scarcity mindset around it. Some people may be very generous. You just never know until you talk about it. Spending habits. How do you make spending decisions? How do I decide, do I buy this, do I not? Simple. See what comes up. Next, how would we manage finances if we were married? How would we do it? Would we have completely joint finances? Are you comfortable with that? Like, do you believe we should operate on a budget? Do you believe we should prioritize investing for our future? Like, what do you believe that we should do if we do get married? About how we should manage our finances. How often should we talk? How are we going to do this? Do you want to be completely uninvolved, or do you want to be the one who takes the lead and takes control and takes responsibility? I'll just say that I do recommend both are involved, both parties. That's if you want the best outcome. But, talk about that. How would we do it? How often would we discuss finances and make shared decisions? There you go. How often would we discuss finances, and how would we make shared decisions? If we're both, deciding whether or not we should go on a vacation or buy a house or whatever it may be, like how are we making these decisions together, and how often are we going to discuss these things? For my wife and I, we've been on and off and inconsistent, but we have really worked to talk about this weekly. Just where we are in the month with spending and, progress to where we want to go. All right. You can do monthly, quarterly, whatever works for you. But having the conversation will help you just set your expectations. What purchases would we discuss prior to making them? Some people may feel like going off and buying a car is not something that they should talk about with their spouse before they do it. I don't know. Personally, I'm like, I would probably have a conversation about that one, but you just never know. So what purchases would we discuss prior to making them? It may just be a dollar amount. Anything over $100 we discuss prior to pulling the trigger. That may be what it is. If you guys make way more money and $100 is not even a big deal, then it may be $1,000. Anything over $1,000, we should talk about, wherever that is, all along the scale. Okay, but at least we have our expectations set, so you don't get 2 years into marriage and all of a sudden your husband goes off and buys a big truck or boat and puts you in a bad financial place. Anyways, what else? Last question, okay? What else should I know about your finances or beliefs, views around money? What else? Just leave it open-ended. You never know. You never know if there's something that you just didn't know to ask, and it's a crazy situation. Who knows? Okay, but if you just leave it open-ended, what else should I know about you and money? See what they say. There may be something else, or may not. All right. One thing I will just add on to this is just try your best to make it a safe space. If you really want to marry this person and you really want this person to be the one that you spend the rest of your life with, money can be a sensitive subject. Okay, so just try to create that space. Be understanding. Be gracious. Be transparent and vulnerable yourself, and try to work together as much as possible, because you're going to have these conversations for many, many years to come. All right. So I'm just going to run back through the checklist really quickly, but I hope this helps you. You can download the PDF checklist in the description if you haven't already. And I hope that it helps, help you find your wife, or at least help you guys get on the same page, work together. So going through them really quickly, talk about your income, talk about your expenses, monthly and annual on both of those. What assets do you currently own? What debts do you currently owe? Do you tithe? Do you give generously? Discuss your credit history. What is your credit score and why? Current financial goals, experiences or memories with money. An example is, how did your parents manage it or do things? What did they teach you? Spending habits. How do you make spending decisions? How would we manage our finances if we were married? How often would we discuss finances, and how would we make shared decisions? What purchases would we discuss prior to making them? And then what else should I know about you, your finances, or your views around money? All right. So hope this helps you guys. If you're already married or if you just had a baby, go watch the last couple of videos. You can get the checklist around the same thing to help you have these conversations, know what you need to be reevaluating, thinking about when it comes to your financial plan. But I really appreciate you watching this one all the way through. Again, download the PDF in the description if you want it. Save it for later. If you're like single and you don't even have a girlfriend yet, you may just keep it, hold on to it, and then when the time comes, pull it out, have a great conversation, and who knows, maybe help you meet your wife. I don't know. But hopefully you enjoyed this setup here. I'm not a great video editor or producer or whatever you want to say, so I wish that I could get the PDF on the screen still with this, because this looks pretty good and hopefully it sounds pretty good too. But appreciate you watching. If there's anyone you know in your life that can benefit from this, send it to them. Subscribe to the channel. Do all the good things that help more people come to this channel and get the financial knowledge that they need to manage their resources well.